Today's video, I'm going to be showing you all how to create an epic and user story and a task. In my last two videos, I showed you how to create a project and how to configure your board to make it more friendly for your team. And today, I'm going to be showing you on how to create an epic and story. Welcome back to Aisha Scrum platform. I am very happy to have you all. So let's get into it. So in order for you to create epic, there are two ways how I've done it in the past. The one quickest way is this up here that says create. That's like the quickest, obvious way to do it, where we can hit that button and this will show up and then we can do that. So that's one way. Another way to create an epic is come to the roadmap view at your side. This is the roadmap view. And sometimes they might be closed. This is how you can close all of that. And you can open it up by clicking the arrow. So that's the roadmap view. And I already created some epics already. And you see down here that says create epic. That's one way too you can do this. But my favorite way to do it is come up here to create it, because in this view, it will give me like all the options I want to add, like if I want to add description, priority, and all of those. It makes it easier. Unlike when I do create it down here, it's just like me writing it in one line, and it won't give me option for me to write the descriptions, prioritize it, or even have a due date on it. So I will come right up here and hit create. And when I hit create, and it's asking me at the top, what project do I want it? I want it under this Aisha Scrum project, because this is the demo platform, right? And under issue types in JIRA, JIRA have it this way. I know like ADO have it differently, but in this case, we're going to be going by the issue types in JIRA. And in your company, you'll notice that you might have a lot more issue types and a lot more based on what your company have it available. But for these demo purposes, we only have issue types of epic. I'll always start with epic because the hierarchy of user story will always start with the them, or maybe the initiative and epic, features, story, tags, and subtags. But in this case, JIRA sees epic and future. For ADO, they'll see future and epic as the same level. But here I'm going to be looking at epic, which epic is the bigger chunk of the work, which will always split this epic down into multiple stories. So at team level, we're working at story, even though it's always going to be related to an epic. So let's say first we'll create an epic. I'll hit epic. And for this epic, so that's the purpose of me creating this epic. It's just for generalized best practices, where I'm going to further break this down to stories. And if you notice, this like is a big chunk of work. And there's a lot of best practices we can do in Scrum, right? So that's what epics is all about. Epics like is a bigger chunk of work where we'll further break it down as a team and discuss how we can implement the stories sprint to sprint. Currently, I do not want to link it yet to any sprint because I do not know yet. But I'm going to make this priority. They have different options under priority. I can have it as low, high, highest priority. That's something usually the PO or the project management office, or regardless on how your company would determine that. That's beyond. Sometimes the Scrum Master doesn't do that. But the product owner definitely play a huge role on that, like which and what is priority. As of right now, maybe I can put this like a highest priority. Usually we estimate epic to in t-shirt sizing. Then we'll put that what size it is for, but we're not doing that right now. And that's something that goes with conversation and all of that. And you can add labels, but I do not plan to have any label currently. And if I want to create a label, I can also create a label and add that, but that's not what I want to do here. And I can even have a select date. But one thing the Epic should have, one of the important things for Epic should have is the due date, like a rough estimate, and don't be so fixated with dates, because sometimes it's solely based on the way how the team is working, but sometimes so you will definitely see due dates in your Epic. And let's say we just want this epic, hopefully for it to be done by December, before the holidays. it's saying the reporter is the person that wrote it. So it's going to be me because I'm the one writing this epic. And for the most part, you'll see that as the PO or like business analyst or who else in the team that's doing it. And we can also link other epic to this epic if there's any blockers, any issues. It has like different types like block by related to, that's for like dependency, or if it's got cloned or something like that. And it's restricted, so we can even restrict people, but that's not what I'm doing right now. So these are all the other options we can add. It can even add attachments to further explain what this epic is all about. Attach link, pictures, roadmap, anything that can help engineers to understand what this epic is asking of them. So then after this, then I hit create. Voila, so now we have our epic. So if you notice, it just joined with the other epic. And looking at our roadmap, the timeline that I put for this epic, I started that only by December 13, and it's saying that we didn't have the start dates yet, but it definitely giving me the due dates that I have within the due dates. So that's what happened. If you use dates on your roadmap, it reflects on the roadmap, which is another good way for you to look to ensure that if it's something that's going to be part of your release, that you're tracking to ensure that it's something that's in progress. Before then, it can. So other thing too in this view, in this epic, like for example, these stories, I already linked them to, I already broke one of them down prior to the video, just to save time. And when you do open the epic, it shows you all the stories or tags or bugs that are linked to that epic. So in this case, it's showing me this one story that's already connected to this epic. So that's another quick way to glance at your project and see where everything currently stands, just looking at the roadmap. So now that I've created the epic, I am going to go back to the backlog view. And in the backlog view, it's going to show me all the product backlog. I know I told you all last time, this is the product backlog. And now, if you notice in the product backlog, I have like everything in here. And I purposely make it this way just to show you all, because there's different ways and different things you can see in your product backlog. But the product owner will always be that person that will prioritize the product backlog and determine what the team will work on next, and also help organize and reorganize the backlog as things are emerging. So, so if you notice this purple sign here in this ticket, it's showing that's an epic. And that's an epic also that's already linked to the story, which I already showed you in the roadmap view. That's another quick way to see if your story do have an epic or not. For the most part, you'll see that. And as I hover over the next stories, it's telling me that add an epic. This is like the new feature. But sometimes you might not see this at work though. But it's definitely telling us that we should add an epic. And if you notice in this, is that like story pointing and stuff. So currently all of this ticket is in the backlog and it's staying in to do. I'm now going to show you all how to create a user story from the new epic I just created. Then later on, I'm going to show you how to link all those epic to the stories. So now to create a user story, I'm going to hit create. And that's one way to create a user story. Then go under the ensure you are in the right project. And sometimes to you, it will show you based on your company, the team, and also it tells you the issue type. You know, we just did an epic, so that's why I'm still showing the epic. Then I come here and I hit story. So then if it's a story, the color change from the purple to green. So then that's the story. So that's one way to create user story. Let me show you another way to create user story, which is to, you see down here where it says create issues inside the product backlog. And when I click on that, automatically it shows up as story. And then I can also type whatever story I want. Just like the epic view, when I do type the title, it's not going to give me option to write the description or the acceptance criteria or prioritize it and all of that. So sometimes if you have a quick idea or the PO is adding stuff in the backlog, we can quickly put stuff in the title and go back later and adjust this information as needed. But that's another way to create a story from the backlog directly. I'm going to hit create at the top. And when I do create at the top, then I'm going to go back and hit stories. And now my title, which is the summary, you always see that summary, so that's my title. And then I'm going to come in here and put user story that I just put in this under this description. The title is Scrum Team Working Agreements. So this is coming from the Scrum Master point of view, and I'm making this example because it's for this platform is to help support Scrum Masters. And I want to create a working agreement workshop so that my team will work together collaboratively on better ways of working. So that's what I want as a Scrum Master. And then we'll write acceptance criteria, which is AC. Given, I'm going to use the template of the given when and then templates. And if you do not know what that means, I uploaded what is the user story video. Watch on that video before you watch this video on how to create all of this, because it helps, because it does build up. Given that because what a user story does, it tells you like who is it for, what do you want, and why are you doing it, and also tells you like how can you tell that the user story can be done, how can the engineers and the developers know that this work is actually done, is actually completed. So that's where the acceptance criteria comes in place, which is also another sign called the success criteria, meaning that if these team members can come together and brainstorm ideas in this workshop and learn better ways of working, then guess what? Our acts and our need that we're trying to achieve with this Scrum Team working agreements is accomplished. So meaning that we are able to do this work. So we're not only telling the developers what the end users want, we also guiding them and telling them what it will look like, the vision of what these people want. And then they will now use that to now do their work and create those codings for that functionality. So that's why it's very important for user story to have what the customer is asking, and also what will they look like, what they are asking for. So that's that for this user story. And then I come to priority. I'm going to make this a highest priority. And assignee, that's when if an engineer pick it up, they want to work on that task. And the sprint, I'm going to show you how to create sprint later. And story points, I'm going to show you all later how to estimate. And fixed version, that's when you're going to group them for releases. And that's something I'm going to plan to show you all later. So if you want to link these tickets to any blockers or any issue, if it's duplicates, if it's related to, or is blocked by, so that's something like if it's dependent by another team, that's another way to be transparency in your user story and do that. Restricted to. So now I am going to create this ticket, and I hit create. So when I hit create, and voila, you see, this is the story right here. It comes directly to the product backlog. That's the good thing about this. When you do hit create, it comes to the product backlog. IS 12, this is the project key, IS, and the 12 is the ticket number. So that's the ticket number, and now that's in here. But if you notice, compared to the other ticket, it does not have Epic. So there's two ways I can add Epic in this board. One way is by me, you see this that says add Epic. I just click on add Epic, and that goes under to learn Scrum, because that's the Epic that's related to that work. Is understand the Scrum event, that's part of learn Scrum. So now link that, so now I have that Epic. And that's one way. Another way too for me to link a story to an Epic is by me clicking on the story, and the story will open up, and you see at the top here, it says add Epic. Then I'll click on add Epic, and it's going to show up all other epics that I have on this project. It's going to show up. It's the same thing at work. Everything else will show up. Then I hit the best practices in Scrum, which is the purpose of me creating the story in the first place. So then I will link it together. So now click on that. So now my epic will start showed up. So this is the epic after I linked it. And at the top here, so you'll see the purple, which is telling you is the best practices in Scrum. That's the epic. And the next one is the user story. You see, and when you hover over it, it's telling you story, and when you hover over that, it's telling you epic. And then I X out of that, how to create a task. So to create a task, for the most part, I'll come to the create at the top, and I still want it in the same project, and I want it on the issue type. I will create tags, and my tags going to be I'm going to call them. We'll see the value of working together. When there's impediment, they will support each other. Then remove the impediment. So now we can make this like maybe high priority, not so high of a priority. And we didn't put a sprint yet because I didn't create any sprint yet. And then we hit create. And ta-da! So this is our tags. If you notice, the tags is in blue in color. I know this might be different for company to company, but in my board here, it's have tags as blue and it has green as stories. And this is that. And if I want to link these tags to an epic, I can also do that. I'll add epic at the top. And I'll link it to best practice in Scrum. So now that's how, this is all our backlog. That's how you create story and epic and tags on JIRA. And if you notice, everything just kept going back to the backlog. So that's it for this video. If you find my content valuable, please like and subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate you all. On the next video, I'm going to show you all how to create a sprint on JIRA.